Hello, friends, and welcome to another video lesson from DBOS Talks. If you haven't subscribed yet, please click subscribe and click the bell so as to be notified of new uploads. This video is in the playlist called From Excel to SQL, and this time around, you'll be learning about tables, columns, and rows in SQL. We cannot learn them separately because a table consists of columns and rows. Can be single column, multiple columns, and single row or multiple rows. So we will have to learn them in an overlapping manner so you can get the grasp of this topic. Okay, so first we will look at Excel. So a table, if you will think of a simple definition, you can look it up, you can Google it, you click up in the web. A simplified definition would be it's a container of data. It's something that holds data. And not only that, it presents data in a grid form, in a tabular manner, which is consisting of columns and rows. So columns in Excel, the columns are denoted by letters, and they are the vertical columns, the vertical elements of the data, right? There's I've hidden some columns there. You can ignore that. You have L, M, and these are the columns, okay, in Excel. And everything here is a grid, but these are the columns denoted by columns, by letters, and they are vertical. The horizontal ones are the rows, and they are known or denoted by numbers, row number. The purpose of that in Excel, at least, is to identify a cell. This is a cell. If you point at a cell and then you look on the upper left-hand corner of your Excel application, you will see Q13. That's the cell address of this cell, which I'm pointing at right now. So it's the cell address is derived from the column name, which is Q, as well as the row number, which is 13. So Q13. In SQL, in RDBMS, Relational Database Management System, there's a similar concept being used, especially when we talk about tables. Again, table is, to put it simply, it's something that is used to store data in columns and rows. Okay. Okay. So in Excel, let's think of an imaginary table called employees table. And as again, like I mentioned, it will be holding data. In this case, obviously, it will be holding employee data or employees data. So a table can consist of one column. I'll get this out of the way just for a moment. So it can consist of one column. In this case, this column A has, we will refer to it with its proper or column name, proper column name, which is MID in this case. I will not call it as column A because it already has a name, okay? So these letters here are just being given by Excel so that we can refer to an address by its address, to refer to a cell by its address. But in a table, you can actually give it a name for distinction, for distinguishing it from other tables. So in this case, an employees table and the first column, a table can consist of one column, in this case, MID, and it can consist of, or it can contain one row of data. In this case, never mind that it's on row 3, it's a coincidence, but I'm telling you, this table we are looking at and called employees table contains one column called MID and one row of data. And that data is the value of 2. Okay, one column, one row. Another possibility, which is true in Excel as well as in SQL, in our DBMS, in database, is a table can have multiple columns. Okay, so in this case, slightly different from the first scenario, what we have now is, a table which is called employees, consisting of multiple columns, the A, B, C, D, E, which are known by their column names. These are the column names, MID, surname, given name. So a table having multiple columns as well as having a single row. Okay, earlier, one column, one row. Now we have multiple columns and one row of data. Okay, that's another scenario. Another scenario of data in Excel as well as in SQL is that the table, if I will unhide this now, the table can also consist of multiple columns, this, etc., and as well as containing multiple rows of data. Okay, so this is something very similar between Excel and SQL. The columns are object identifiers. They are meant to identify, think of it as a silo, a missile silo. So this column name here, middle name in this case, is meant to identify uniquely the objects it is holding, the data it is holding. In this case, this set of data I'm highlighting. While the row number is meant to identify that complete row of data. So a row of data consists of data representing all the columns of the table. Like right now, I'm highlighting row number 6, I mean 5. Sorry, row number 6 as far as Excel is concerned. And that single row of data represents values of that row across all the columns. MID, the MID value is 5. The surname is Cruz. The given name is Alicia. Middle name is Gibson. Birth date is 19 September 2009, etc., etc. So that's a table in Excel. Now let's look at how it is viewed in how we see it or how it is used in Excel. So for that, we will be looking at two commands actually. So there are two commands that you'll be learning in this video just to have an appreciation and a comparison of the knowledge you have in Excel and how to jumpstart your learning of SQL. Okay, so two commands you will learn today are these. Desk, which is short for describe. This is Oracle specific, and it is meant to see, to let you view the table structure, structure of a table. Something that is not really formalized in Excel. In Excel, you can see if you viewed, if you watched my previous video on this same playlist, I discussed on data types. So that's what a table structure will give you, the column names as well as the data types of those data. Okay. So if you haven't seen that video, I suggest you do before you progress to this current video. Okay, so let me just get to it. So let's try the first SQL command called desk, which is short for describe, and which is meant to see, to let you view table structure. Okay, so employees is the table name. I'll go to that. So I will write desk. Remember in SQL, commands are not case sensitive, but strings, later on you will learn about strings, not in this video, they are case sensitive, but strings are enclosed in single quotes like this. Okay, but here, anything else that's not a string is not case sensitive. So desk again is, if you look here, where's my Excel? It's supposed to see, to let you see the table structure, to view the table structure. Okay, so the syntax is desk and then the table name. No need for an semicolon, but usually we do that for all the other SQL statements. Okay, with or without, this will work with the desk, but anyway, let's put it there. So the desk table, command, again, will show you the table structure. So when we say table structure, remember we're talking about the table called employees. And when we describe it, the table structure will show you the column names on the left, MID, surname, given name, same as what you have seen in the SQL, the Excel file here. Okay, I've intentionally made them like that so you can compare. So first column on the leftmost, you will see the column names. And then the second one labeled as null with a question mark is null is the concept of nothingness. What this means is if the column is mandatory or required to have a value or not. So when we see this not null, this means that the column called MID has to have a value all the time. During the insert, during the updating of the value, during the deletion, you don't check, you're deleting, you're removing. But during creation of the data or updating the data, the database will do its check based on this definition of the table structure here. that this column is not null, meaning null, I believe, not I think. Null is the concept of nothingness. It's not the same as zero. It's not the same as a blank space. It means no value. So when we say a column is not null, it means it is mandatory that that column has to have a value all the time. The third column you will see is called type. It's a data type. It's the type of data. And again, if you haven't seen my first video in this playlist, I suggest you do so so you can get an understanding of what is data type, especially in the context of comparing it between Excel and SQL and seeing the similarities between the two so that you can bridge that gap and it can jumpstart your learning actually. So again, on the leftmost are the column names. Second, in the middle part is just telling you whether a column is mandatory to have a value or not. If it's not null, it has to have a value. If it is blank, it means it is an optional column. It can be blank. It's okay. It will not throw an error during insertion or update. So the third is the data type. So we've touched on that. Data type is the type of data. So data can come in many forms, but in SQL, in RDBMS, they are categorized into a certain types like number, varchar2, date. Primarily, these three are the most common. So varchar2, again, if you have seen my first video, refers to a character value or a string value, okay? So that's the first command we've learned in this video, desc, which is to describe a table, which is to view a table structure. And this is the syntax. Syntax means format of the command. The second command we'll be learning is the select statement, select command, which is a very commonly used command, and you will really keep on using this a lot. This is the most used command in SQL. It is used for querying. When we say query, even in simple English, it means to ask a question. So you're asking the database for information. So to do that, so you're querying a table's data. That's what a select is doing. And this is the syntax or format of the command. Select asterisk from the table name. You will learn about the other ways of using this command in subsequent videos, not now, so that you will not be confused. For now, we're just showing you the similarities between Excel and SQL, as well as giving you an intro into the most commonly used or basic SQL commands to get you up and running. So select is used to query a table's data, and this is the simple format. Select asterisk from table name, meaning telling the SQL engine, get me the values from all the columns. Asterisk means from all the columns from this table, whatever is the table name. Okay, so select, I'll do that now with that syntax. So select asterisk from the table name. And then you end that with a terminator, which is a semicolon. Okay, select asterisk, meaning all the columns. If you remember, we were looking at the Excel, we were talking about columns and rows of columns. When I say select asterisk, I'm telling SQL, select the values in all these columns from the table called employees. Okay, so we will do that. And it shows you something very similar, if not equivalent, to the one you're seeing here. Okay, so this is what it is doing. In Excel, it's different. The data is already viewed by default. You can see all the data in one shot, unless you're applying some kind of filtering at the column level, at the column header level, right? Like you say, you will do this. That we can learn about later and comparing it to SQL, right? But for now, we don't have a filtering being done. So when we do a select asterisk from employees, it's the same as you're viewing all the data in the table. Asterisk means all the columns, for all the columns, because we can also say select MID surname. We can do that in the next video. We will not, I will not confuse you too much. Okay, so we're learning in this video, we've learned about two commands: desc, which is short for describe, which is to view a table's structure, and this is the syntax: desc space table name, and then optionally a terminator. But for most of the SQL commands you'll be using, you'll have to terminate them or end them with a semicolon. Okay, And then we are learning select command, which is to query or to question, to ask a question, to know a table's data, to get the table's data. Okay, so when we did that, when we executed that, it returned or it showed me the data in this table because that's what I was asking for. So it's saying the command is saying query or get all the columns, the values from all the columns from this table. Okay, so tonight, today, whatever, in whichever time zone you are, you've learned about these similarities between Excel and SQL, which is more on touching on the concept of tables, columns, and rows at a very basic level. And this concept will have to be strengthened, reinforced in subsequent videos with other exercises, as well as supplementary concepts or yeah, related concepts to this one. Okay, thank you for watching and listening. If you haven't subscribed yet, please click subscribe, and I'll be seeing you in the next video.